Taka guy has an uncle who 17 years ago was in a car accident and lost consciousness until now. Taka visits him at the hospital. When he woke up, he suddenly burst out laughing and spoke Japanese fluently. After the nurse left, Mr. Taka started to remind his nephew to pay attention. You will prove that you have lived in another world. He began to chant the spell, repeatedly controlling the water bottle. Taka has to work a lot to pay his hospital bills. Taka took out an allowance and was about to sign it when the water bottle flew up again. Uncle Taka laughed. It turns out that you have to speak Japanese to control it. Taka was so shocked, he tore up the allowance. A week later, Mr. Taka was discharged from the hospital, and Taka teamed up with him to use his extraordinary ability to earn money. Taka took his uncle to live with him. Taka had believed his uncle from living in another world. He thought his friends would be all heroes, but he played solo. He told Taka about his arduous journey. Everyone was beautiful there, but the uncle was ugly, so people thought it was a goblin that hunted all day. Once he saved a beautiful girl. However, she hates him. His uncle went to his chair to look at the pile of new video comments that made them bored. The keyboard heroes don't believe what the uncle does. His uncle used magic to erase the memory, then he asked Taka to buy him a gamepad. In the old world, he once created a water filter, but the people there considered it to be an evil religion and smashed it. Because the item that the uncle needed was an antique, it was auctioned. His uncle went to the window, startling Taka. Your grandfather flew straight to get the goods to save money on shipping. So from now on, Taka orders do not lose shipping anymore. He immediately ordered a headset for himself, and when he came to Taka, he asked him to give me the knife. He handed Taka the dragon-slaying knife again, making Taka's face pale. So his uncle pulled out a bunch of treasures he had collected from the other world from the space portal. Taka mentioned his uncle's love story, his experiences only seen in the game. On the other side, the uncle once saved the good sisters from monsters. The older sister stood up to protect the younger siblings, but before that, the uncle was sneaked by monsters. Uncle threw him over the cliff, luckily the other girl saved him. This time he took out a ring to give her as a thank you. The uncle was also responsible to the end when he brought it to exchange money for her, and she still followed him after taking the money. These things are often still valuable. The uncle asked Taka to put the knife away. Take shoved it right in the middle of the uncle's chest. So there was an idea to make new content. This time it attracted more than 2 million views. Episode 2. The next clips of the two uncles and nephews dropped the view without stopping. About the idea of this game, the uncle came up with a visit to a village across the other world. People here banish that the uncle brings bad luck to the village. So the uncle beat them until they recognized him as a hero. But when you have the title of hero, you have to help the people in the village. Currently the village is suffering from the destruction of the fire dragon. The only way to destroy it is to use the ice sword of the ice speed that Mabel wields. The village chief took the uncle to the girl to ask for the sword. Mabel asks her uncle to pick her a bouquet of flowers that grow at the top of Mount Merid. That was the price to borrow her sword. The uncle understood and then he turned away. The uncle went straight to the dragon and slashed it away. Taka stood up confused, he should have gone in the right order. At this time, the uncle's game console arrived. The uncle holding it, Taka didn't even know if he was happy or sad. Taka bought more game discs, the two of them had something to kill time. It's almost New Year's Eve. Taka wonders about this day in the other world. Being there to thank the gods who protected them during the harsh winter, the lords threw a party for them to enjoy all the New Year's Eve. However, his uncle quickly ate and went back to his room. The two of them sat and played games again. At this time, the uncle mentioned the other Mabel girl. She went to her uncle's room, admiring him when he killed the fire dragon with his own hands. Taka pauses the game. Taka got bored and went to cook noodles. The two grandsons welcomed the new year in a bland way. The next day, after going out to buy some things, Taka met his childhood friend. He immediately invited her to his house to play, and Fumi agreed immediately. She arrived home just in time for her uncle to fly home. The uncle was startled and wanted to use magic to erase the memory just now. Fortunately, Taka came back in time to stop his uncle. Fumi was very angry with her uncle's rude behavior just now. He found out that she liked her nephew. Fumi blushed and refused immediately. But when Taka confirmed that she was just a friend, she was very disappointed. On the occasion of mentioning the love story, the uncle told them a story. Fumi was moved to think that the uncle was talking about her, but the story he took from the game made her very angry. The uncle jumped up and rushed towards Fumi like lightning. He had read her entire mind. She got mad. The story of returning from another world, who can believe it? She advised Taka to move in with her. It's a bit embarrassing, but leaving Taka here can easily spread his uncle's crazy disease. Of course, Taka disagrees, since then the uncle has a new enemy. Episode 3, starting in 2018, YouTube released a new law that makes it more difficult to make money from this platform. My nephew Taka is also having this problem. They don't have enough subscribers. The reason is that the uncle chats with fans a lot. But chatting with them in a quarrel style made them angry and unsubscribe from the channel. This situation was identical to an event he had encountered in another world. At the sealed castle, Taka wanted to tell the story to ease the pain. As he stood in the castle, his uncle wondered why they had created such a large barrier. Then the uncle quarreled with the elf. With his ugly appearance, everyone thought the uncle was an elf. Taking this opportunity, the elf kicked the uncle. This city is located right next to the land of many yokai. This seal is also only to prevent them. The uncle raised his hand to the sky and fired a beam of energy to test the barrier's hardness. Monsters that smell the scent immediately attack. The elf excitedly pulled out his weapon. She dashed towards the monsters that suddenly hit the invisible wall. The uncle has already rebuilt the barrier. After this chaos, the people started looking for the person who destroyed their barrier. Elf knows but hides, so he owes her a date. But that very night the uncle was out of the city, the reason he was afraid that she would treat him like a slave. Then the uncle sat at the machine and started the begging for registrations. After that, the number of registrations increased rapidly. Her friend Fumi ran to the house to play. She mocked her uncle as a parasite. The uncle sneered for her to see his YouTube views. Fumi couldn't argue with her reason. The uncle, looking at the relationship, confirms that Taka only sees Fumi as a friend. Fumi is irritable. She doesn't want to talk with a game addict. His uncle left. Fumi felt a bit too much and chased after him. As soon as he opened the door, the uncle turned into an elf who claimed to be Taka's aunt. He did this because he wanted to hear Fumi's confession. When Taka arrived at the plane, he immediately recognized who the elf was. The idea that popped into his head was to take this elf form to shoot a clip. After uploading the clip, went back to Fumi. The uncle who holds Take's head plays back the memories of the first days Taka met Fumi. The projected image shows the ugly kid repeatedly hitting Taka in the face. Fumi shivered. She's you, no one else. Fumi is extremely embarrassed. Who would have thought this was their childhood memory? But Taka didn't show anger at all. On the contrary, he was happier with Fumi than before. After settling down, they went back to watch the clip just posted. The uncle was shocked when Taka dared to deceive him. In the clip, I see Elf's face, not the game screen. Thanks to that, the high views made Taka happy. And the uncle lost faith in doing YouTube until he received a salary and ate a very hearty meal. Episode 4, Taka was reading a book when the kid Kac ran out and grabbed his book. It thinks this is a depraved novel, teasing Taka to almost cry. Suddenly a creepy sound came. Fumi appeared after. She helps Taka deal with this situation. Review the memory of Taka with his uncle excited and Fumi embarrassed. Fumi hastily turned it off. That was in elementary school. When she was in middle school, she started to become more feminine. Fumi shows them pictures. How do you feel better when you drink coffee? Taka brags about the coffee machine he just bought as a birthday present for him. Fumi also wanted to give a present. She sent a picture of her swimsuit to Taka. Taka immediately deleted everything. There was an announcement about the price of coffee beans, and he ran away immediately. The sneer Uncle Fumi wasn't even as attractive as that ad. She hit the table and stood up, spilling the coffee cup. The uncle hurriedly froze her, but overdoing it and had to heat it up until the ice melted. Fumi's body was wet. She went to the bathroom and her uncle left Taka's clothes for her and went out. Fumi stood and pondered what it would be like if Taka saw it. As he wondered as he entered, Fumi shouted in embarrassment. Taka rushes out. Fumi after calmly approached Taka. She didn't blame him. Taka happily shed tears. He promised to take responsibility for her. Fumi startled, she thought in a different direction. The uncle went home because he thought Taka was in danger. He asked him to erase the last memory. Fumi hastily stopped Taka. Fumi and Taka drink wine to celebrate Fumi turning 20 years old today. The uncle did not have a present, so he gave her some wishes. His explanation was too confusing, so he took a part of his memory to show them. The day when he turned 20 years old and drank alcohol for the first time. Fumi and Taka turned pale. The beautiful elf approached the table, wondering about the uncle breaking the barrier. To silence her, he had to offer her many delicious dishes. 3 years ago he saved her from a poisonous dragon without knowing its fighting power. Until now, slaying more fire dragons without using the Ice Clan's ice sword. The uncle sneered and pulled out the dragon's fire pot, just opening it and the dragon resurrected. However, he wasn't sure if he could kill it again. That time he didn't use the ice sword, which made the elves think he was a liar. The uncle left to play the game. The video continued to play. Suddenly the uncle stood up and invited the elf to follow him to his room. This scene made Taka and Fumi extremely excited. The uncle only used it to let the elf take me home. Taka and Fumi were once again disappointed. Fumi took the wine to urge the uncle to drink, and after taking a sip, he staggered. Feeling unwell, Fumi go ahead. He lifted his hand and all three flew out. Fumi is afraid to turn pale and Taka vows not to let his uncle drink again from now on.